Welcome back, Alejandro, to the channel, and thank you so much for providing us your investment analysis on Lululemon. I'm sure a lot of women have heard about Lululemon because a lot of women use their products, and I think more men are starting to know about them as well. And let's see how they're doing. I'm excited to learn about what you've studied here with Lululemon.
Hello, Michelle. Hello, everybody. As always, it's a pleasure being here. Yeah, it's definitely a field that I'm not the most confident before I start studying because since usually per their shells and always a woman's brand, but now that we start learning and studying, we're going to see that this is not really true because they've been growing pretty good in men's. So now I don't know how it's going to look in 10 years, but at the moment is almost 1/4 of their sales in men. So this is pretty interesting. And I never tried their products. I did go to the store the other day to check it out. Just I think it's one of Phil Fisher's teachings to go to the to places and study how it looks in person, or just look at the financials, because this is how you can learn the insights that we might be able to get to conclude something good for the company. So let's get started. So what they do, they design, distribute retail athletic apparel, footwear, and other products. They sell their products to their own stores and online. And this is very important because Nike, Adidas, Puma, most of their sales before was through wholesale. So basically selling to Dick's or footwear, Dick's or Foot Locker, I'm sorry. And a lot of the process is not controlled there because let's say Nike sells to Dick's and I don't know, the guy does just leave the stuff in the back. But now when you have your own stores or you have your online, you're with the customer in the entire process, which is very important. It's something Lululemon wants to do. And even though they're big growing, they still conserving this policy. So this is very interesting. Again, who knows how it's going to look, but this is how they done it. And to be honest with you, I think it's definitely the way to go if they want to keep the brand how it is. But at the same time, not being in the wholesale categories is making you miss some sales. So this getting to this balance is definitely very difficult, but uh, they for the moment decided this. So they promote their products with activities different from the conventional. I read a book, as I've been doing for the latest chapters. Definitely, I think is a great way to understand the culture and how everything started and really get you, familiar with the company. And pretty interesting things that they did, like when they started in Canada. One of the first events, they said that the first 100 people, like they opened a store and the first 100 people that got there, they had to be naked. They will get, I didn't really know how naked. I don't know, maybe no shirt. I didn't really look for the pictures or anything. I guess maybe no shirt, and they will get, yeah, like the first 100 people that got to the store will get, I don't know, I think leggings for free or something like that. So definitely this type of promotions, are great because let's say I don't know 100 leggings which cost them $4,000. Let's say it costs 40 a pair. That's $4,000. But what do you get in media and just people and the buzz? I think it's pretty interesting. Another pretty aggressive marketing that they did was they said that Coke and Pepsi were the cigarettes of the future, attacking them. And the reason they do this is because from from the owner, what they want to do is like people who use Lululemon, they want to behave in every good way, like meditate, yoga. Especially because it started as a yoga pants company. It's just growing, but they want them to eat good. So they don't want, basically at the beginning, they didn't want anybody at the headquarters drinking Coke or Pepsi, or they wanted them to eat healthy and do exercise. So definitely a lifestyle company, which I mean, if they're able to maintain this through the years and through growing, they are probably going to be successful. But this is obviously the more you grow, the harder, because I mean, you cannot, I don't know. When I visit the store, I mean, I didn't feel like the people that were selling the clothes were really in their lifestyle. But maybe, I don't know, in the first 100 stores, this was the truth. Again, the culture, the myth is different from when you grow. They try to make people's life more efficient through their quality products that have usefulness and design. And this is pretty interesting, because what Chip Wilson, I mean, the founder, wanted to do is basically save time for the superwoman, is how he called them. Is basically a style of woman that make pretty good salary, but they don't have much time. So basically, if they went to the to, I don't know, to exercise, he wanted a pretty design, so they could maybe go have a coffee with a boyfriend or a friend or whoever afterwards. I don't know, Michelle, if you remember, but in the past, I mean, what people used to the gym was probably the ugliest thing they had in the wardrobe. Do you remember that? Like, always, like,
Mhm.
I mean, the ugliest shirt, I mean, that's what you will wear now. I mean, with Lululemon, and people are wearing, and they want to look nice, and they want to look fashion when they go to
Yeah.
the gym. They are present in 25 countries at the moment. Uh, so here is part of the stock behavior, and the reason I put this is because I don't really like to look this that much into this, but from it's not showing there, but it was about the 31st of December of 2023 to now. I mean, the stock has value is break almost to half. So I mean, it has lost half of its value, and I mean the sales keep growing. Not really much has changed, but the sentiment in Wall Street just changed. Obviously, it hasn't grown as fast as before, but still, I mean, definitely, we as value investors, what we want to see is good price, pay good price for a quality company, and definitely there's good facets. And as you always say, I mean, this is not stock investment advice or anything, but it's just an invitation to, if you think you might get to a conclusion in the stock, I mean, definitely through this video and other further investigation to look into it, because if you figure out that this brand is going to keep growing and is going to stick in the mind of the consumer in 10 years, it's probably going to be a great investment. Is the P right now is at I think 20, so like, yeah, 5%. But the return on invested capital, that the return on deployed capital is crazy. We're going to see that afterwards. So special things about Lululemon, they sell through their own stores and only wholesale to protect their brand, as I said before, than conventional marketing, naked people, the Pepsi and Coke story that I told. Most of their sales are to women, different than Nike and Adidas, and their margin is higher than them. Sales per square foot is 1609, and this is really big in the retail industry. We're going to see later on the biggest brands. Do you know who's the biggest brand per square foot?
Is it Nike?
No, no, like in everywhere, like in retail wise. Take a guess.
Is it Costco?
Nah.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, I'm gonna show you. I didn't know either. I mean, no, yeah, I didn't know. I couldn't guess. But here is
Oh, it's
Apple.
Apple. Oh,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
so
Yeah.
Costco is third. I mean, this is, but yeah, Apple and Tiffany's are, I mean, the big guys. Obviously, this is a pretty interesting measure, but at the same time, I mean, you have to, for example, Dollar General, we saw a few weeks ago, and it was like 300 per square foot, but obviously the rent they pay per square foot is different. So, I mean, this always has to be put into context, because yeah, you can have sales of, I don't know, $3,000, but if you're paying 2,000 per square foot, is maybe better to have 200, but if you are paying 50 dollars per square foot. So basically, this comparison is always important to put it on your mind.
Yep.
So here's basically how the stores are distributed. Obviously, I mean, since it's starting in Canada, I mean, it's pretty big in Canada, and as always, USA is the main place where they make their money. They've been growing very, very good in China, and the other countries. I mean, Australia a little bit, but definitely, I mean, Americas, Canada, and US, and mainland China is where the money is about to be made. And also one thing is very important to mention, which has happened with basically every company I study, is that the return on deployed capital is always better in the US. So many times, I don't know, I'm from Colombia, South America. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but there's a lot of rules there. So this doesn't really invite companies like Lulu to go there, because I mean there's not really much money to be made, and there's a lot of problems. So I don't know, there's companies that decide to go there, but a lot of them, they just basically find a person and they franchise it. Like for example, Starbucks made a deal with this Mexican group to manage their stores there, and I guess the reason is because they don't want to deal with all this legal stuff that just isn't worth it when the return is on capital is low. So United Kingdom is I think they're four most yeah, they're four, no, they're fifth most important country, yeah, and the rest is just, I mean, Germany, France, and others. I mean, they just get in there, as I said before. I mean, they are usually in the best place in town. For example, here in Tampa, I mean, they are in two places that the most important, basically, place where you go eat. But I mean, a lot of high-end people go there, and the best mall. So this is how they position the brand when they get there. Here's the balance sheet, as I always love to see. The inventories, property, plant, equipment, that adds about a little below 3 billion, and the net income is last year was $1,550,000. So let me go to, I want to show. Oh wow, oh no, oh, I think I didn't. Oh yeah, here it is. I wanted to compare it to Nike. So as we see, the revenue is 5 times bigger for Nike than Lulu, but the percentage of sales through net income is 16%. So it's way more profitable. Obviously, the bigger you get, usually you start losing space in this ground. But I mean, Lulu is I mean, Lululemon is pretty big. I mean, they are like you can see they're getting to $10 billion, and below the return on deployed capital, which is just a quick way to see it. I mean, I add inventory plus property, plant, and equipment, and just divide that with net income, and this is what I get. I mean, Nike is pretty big for being such a high company. Yeah, such a big company, high company. I'm sorry. And the reason I put depreciation and additions to property is because this is one of the best ways to see how they are growing, in the way that, for example, as we see Nike, they have a depreciation of almost 800 billion, and additions to property, plant, and equipment of almost 800 billion, which means, I mean, they're not really growing in the way that opening new stores or stuff like that. So basically, the money they spend, that is more maintenance. In the other side, as we see, Lulu is spending like 300, yeah, almost 300 million more than depreciation, which means, I mean, they keep growing and just getting new stores. Was here income statement? Yeah. So yeah, I was here in the income statement. So I mean, as we see, the gross profit for them is pretty big. The sales have been growing, I mean, pretty good in the last 3 years. So definitely, as I said, I mean, that 31st of December 2023, the company was worth a double what it is right now. So, I mean, for companies growing at this rate is definitely interesting thing to study. But as Buffett always said, I mean, just growing is not always the best indicator, because I mean, let's say they just open stores, but the new stores are less profitable. I mean, this is not good, because as what we say, it's good to grow, but I mean, the return on invested capital needs to keep being the same or growing, not like just getting down. So this is very important to see for them. And per what I saw, I mean, they are maintaining about the same return on invested capital. Sometimes actually their margin, they've been growing the margin because their sales per store keeps growing. So you can leverage fixed cost in this, and the return on invested capital per store has been getting better. So this is definitely great. So again, another great indicator. So the revenue per region, as I talked before, I mean, look, Americas is just, I mean, it's just more than, it's about 80%. Rest of the world is just 1 billion, and mainland China is another billion. And the segment income from operations, as we see, I mean, even though the rest of the world is above a billion, the income from operations is about 200 million. In the other side, China being below a billion is 337 million. So as I said, I mean, this is very important to see, because it's the return on invested capital that they are getting. So, I mean, it's not really growing sales, it's growing sales profitably. And trying to expand this margin is what we are looking in the companies, obviously. And here's the division for women's, and which I think is super interesting. Because men's is getting to, yeah, almost 1/3, a little below 1/3. The other category sport is not really divided, but it's just different things that they sell. But yeah, men is definitely growing, and as we see, I mean, it's actually growing faster than women, at least compared from 2021 to what is now. They almost is growing. Well, no, it's about the same. It's similar. So definitely something that interesting to see. But at the same time, when companies start losing focus is when I think they might go the wrong way. So at least in the financials looks great, and I think till now is awesome. But again, there is companies that just smaller companies that, for example, Gap has this brand called Atleta. I don't know if you ever heard about it.
Yeah.
So Atleta is this company that is, I mean, basically trying to do the same. They do sell through wholesale, and I mean, it's behind. But one of the hottest brands that I believe is trying to, even though their sales are below 1 billion, so basically 1/3 of Lulu, is Aloe Yoga, which was a brand built in LA, and they're doing all these very interesting things that makes them important. Because again, when you pay $100 for some leggings, yeah, it's cool. You feel important. You feel like you're wearing something that people are going to look at you. But when is enough? Because the more you grow, the less exclusive you are, right?
Mm.
So later on, I'm gonna show a little about Sea Candy, which it makes me think of that, because I mean, as the Buffett followers always talk about this, and definitely Sea Candy was some company that changed Buffett life and his investment philosophy. And the reason is because Sea Candy was a brand that sells a product at a high price, but it's still special for their customers through the years. Just in California is what he always says, but still. So is Lulu gonna keep being special in 10 years with all the people that are behind? And that is, to me, the big question, to see if it's a good investment or not. Because if you ask me, and if you just, I don't know, put an Excel and just make projections, I mean, yeah, I think it definitely looks amazing, but as we always know, this is not how it works in real life. And as I said, especially for something exclusive, because let's say they become 20 billion. So, I mean, everybody's wearing Lulu now. So it's really exclusive. So it's a worth to pay, I don't know, 2 to 3 times another alternative product for wearing something everybody has now. So maybe not. One of the good things that I like, and to me is very important, is that it is the company that was built for women. And instead of like Nike and Adidas, they started as like performance, and obviously they have their women's products, but most of their sales are in men. The other side, Lulu is, like, as we can see, even though they are trying to get in the men's category, the most important part is women. And below is that sales divided between company operated stores and e-commerce. And this is, to me, very interesting, because as we see, all the brands are talking about going omni-channel. But looking at this, is very, very interesting how half of their sales are in store and half of their sales are through e-commerce, because it just compensates and really helps them like take advantage of both channels. I never seen this before. Like, for example, when we talked about another company the other day, I mean, they were investing a lot in e-commerce, but only, I think, 10% of their sales was through e-commerce. So in the other side, I mean, every dollar spent here in marketing in any of the channels is being used, like is being used in a good way. So Lululemon Manifesto, I mean, sorry for it looks a little blurry, but basically this was a manifesto created by Chip Wilson and their marketing at the beginning, to put in their bags, which are reusable. So basically people will take their bags and just use it for other stuff. And as he said, do one thing a day that scares you. So a lot of, again, life philosophy, lifestyle, and obviously if they can create and keep in the mind of their customers, I mean, they are going to be successful. So at leisure market share, this is a pretty old graph. I think it's like 2 years. I couldn't find anything that was more updated, but this is how it looked. So basically, Lulu still has 60% of the market at leisure, and obviously here it doesn't include Nike or Adidas or Puma. So again, this is the guys are trying to come behind Lululemon, trying to imitate what they do. Have you heard about Gymshark of Athletics by any chance?
I think maybe, yeah. I think I've kind of seen them before, like probably on someone's shorts. I might have seen the Gymshark, and I feel like I've seen the name Fabletics, but I don't really know people who buy
Yeah,
those products.
yeah, and I kind of look a little to their prices, and I mean, they are not cheap either. So I mean, that's why I say they are coming behind
Well, you know
Lulu.
who else is coming behind? I think a little bit like related to Gap, maybe. There's some leggings that say Old Navy is selling, and it's probably a fraction of the price at Lululemon. For example, let's say you buy $50 leggings at Old Navy, and maybe it's sometimes on sale for $35. So it could be a third of like $100 leggings at maybe some of these competitors. And like I think there's probably a lot more competition that is not so obvious yet. Like they're there. I think they're starting to catch up. Even some of the legacy entities like Gap and Old Navy, that which I know you said Athleta comes from Gap.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know about that one. So thanks for the addition. So yeah, I already did this comparison, and as I said, I mean, is the return on deployed capital is what is very interesting. I mean, obviously everything else, but I mean, Lulu is still more profitable than Nike. So behavioral science applied by Lululemon. I've been reading two books, which I think are phenomenal. They are very dense, but I definitely for people that really want to, I mean, have the time and love this investment hobby, or however you see it. And the books are, and I'm going to show the graph at the end, but they are influenced by Cialdini. I don't know if you heard about it, which is recommended.
Yeah.
I mean, Charlie recommended a lot. And the other one is Thinking Fast and Slow, but Daniel Kahneman. And this one was recommended by Seth Klarman at first, and the second time I heard about it was by Todd Combs, which he doesn't really give much interviews, but what made me read it, and now I'm rereading it because it's definitely a book that, I mean, it's pretty dense, but I mean, I just think when you are listening or reading it and you think about how different companies behave, I mean, it just makes so much sense. And definitely, many times we have heard Mr. Buffett said that maybe he doesn't add faster now, or he reads slower, but he has learned more about human behavior. And this is one of the things that, and one of the reasons I decided to go through this. And as I said, Lululemon use this all these social proof, scarcity, authority, liking, and commitment and consistency are titles from Influence the book. And how Lulu uses it, I think, is very interesting. So social proof, I mean, somebody cool wears the jeans and the leggings or the clothes. So I mean, people want to do that, and that's the image they have shows. Scarcity, as I said, they are not everywhere. For example, where I live, there's only 2 stores, so they're still exclusive, even though their sales are pretty good. Authority, I mean, they have their people at their stores that they actually, is funny because you know how Starbucks call their barista partners, I believe, right? Partners, yeah. Lululemon calls their sales guys educators.
Mhm.
So at the beginning, as I said, because I mean the day that I went, and it was 2 days ago, I mean I didn't feel that these guys were that prepared or anything, but at the beginning I think they pay these people a lot more, but they were really prepared. So I mean they knew about everything, about how everything was made, how what the reason that the pants were built the way or designed the way they had. So this, when you are a customer, gives you like, oh man, this guy knows a lot. So it's like when a doctor tells a nurse to do something, I mean, she doesn't question it. So unconsciously you just buy it or just believe him at least. Liking, as I said, I mean, they really work in the service. And um, in this book, it talks about how when you like somebody, you tend to buy more from him. And commitment and consistency, I mean, they just, as I said before, I mean, they wanted their people to do exercise. They wanted their people um, to do exercise. They wanted their people to eat well, everything. So that is another way they use it. So definitely very, very interesting. So again, those books are recommended. So this is a little, I couldn't find this letter, but I have it in this PDF that I have. But definitely to me, a must read, and it's like only 3 pages. But Mr. Buffett um, said this, and this reminded me a lot of Lululemon. People will not only be affected by our candy taste, but also obviously the news. They will hear from others, and the layout of the retail store will affect people's purchase needs, including store decoration, product packaging, and all kinds of competitive goods. The environment in which we provide candy will affect potential customers, psychological reactions, and even taste impression of our quality. Candy should be presented to customers, including children, in a way that establishes them as a very special things. I always had the suspicion that was in the telling and 1% was in the drinking. This last phrase to me is just, I don't know, to me is so impactful, because it's like I mean, a lot of time we just buy stuff because what's on the telling, and in the drinking is just like not much. So I'm not saying Lulu is this type of thing, but there's many companies that just like the story they build around the product, how, like he said, how the stuff is displayed. And so we buy really a story more than like a product. And this is what I think Lulu is doing. And if they are able to keep this through the years, it's going to keep being special. But as I said, with size, this is easy to be lost. So definitely look for this letter. I mean, have you read it, Michelle?
No, I mean, maybe I've heard of some of the quotes, but
Yeah. So definitely, if you can find it, let me know. I'll send it to you, because it's pretty short, but it's such a great letter. It's about. So this was a little. I found this about Seas Candy, and again, how the return on invested capital has grown. And so at the beginning, when they bought in 72, it was, I don't know, 8 million, I believe, and the return on invested capital was 33%, and they just deployed another 40, and with that they are making 25 times that net amount of net income. So this is what Buffett describes as a great business, and definitely I just wanted to show, because it's a picture of what we are looking for. Not easy to find that that much, but so some lessons from reading the book. A great and innovative product can create a new market. True passion and taking every day seriously is key. People are trying to benefit themselves and not a company. And I said it because Chip Wilson was really maybe betrayed by a lot of his key people, just because they want to benefit themselves and not read the company. So he talks a lot about this in the book. So I mean, definitely recommend the read. But Buffett always talks about this. Keeping quality is what can make or break a company. If people stop trusting trusting you, they can go somewhere else. The media can destroy you in a second. Also, I don't know if you heard, but Chip also made some comments, and I don't really know what's the truth, but the media just start making a bunch of things about this. And yeah, I mean, I think he was one of the reasons I think he left the company, because he was not taking well. But I mean, as he said, I mean, it was just basically change. And these are the two books again. Definitely worth a read. And again, the reason for this is because it just helps you understand more and be able to predict better how somebody's going to behave, like yeah, in different businesses.
for sure. I've read Influence, but not yet Thinking Fast and Slow. So I'll keep that on my list to read.
Yep. So this is what I had for you.
Awesome. Well, that was really informative. Thank you so much for covering Lululemon in such great detail. And I'd heard about that too, that the Lululemon founding CEO had left. And I don't know if there were some maybe sexist or other kinds of comments that maybe didn't sound right in the media, and maybe it turned into something more. I don't really know much about it, but just that I'd heard like it caused him to leave the company. So yeah, it's amazing. I don't even really pay that much attention to Lululemon on a day to day, but like I think in just general looking in business news, sometimes you hear about these things, and in the back of your mind, it's kind of like too bad that the founding CEO didn't stay with the company, because sometimes they take it really far, like with Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs. So I guess this was an interesting lesson, and we'll see if they can keep growing really well in spite of him. And I don't know why the stock got halved recently. That seems a little surprising, but maybe maybe some of the market was spooked by like maybe projections of slowing down a little bit, with kind of a retail cycle possibly slowing down. So it might not just be Lululemon slowing down, it could be a bunch of other retailers. So not sure what's going on there. But as students of investing, we should keep learning, like you said. So thank you so much for sharing all this today, Alejandro.
Thank you, Michelle. It was a pleasure.
Take care.
Bye.